me thinking that the physical stuff has importance, and my mind is dull to the point where I think only the dense physical stuff is of significance, and I've completely lost sight of like wisdom in general. That is always the beginning to the next moment being a little deeper. Like it is always the start. Like no matter how sharp you get, no matter how sharp you are, every tiny bit that you get dull brings you further towards that beginning, and then all the way along the way from like complete awareness to complete dullness where you're paying attention to that, you get all the signs along the way of like things like sensation or pains or less intense sensations or reactions to thoughts to whatever else, and people end up rolling in their ideas all the time and like overthinking things and whatever else. Like all that stuff are all these signs along the way towards density and dullness. So this is always dense, but it's also dull if your mind is dull, which is the tricky part. It's not sharp if your mind is sharp, but it's if you see this as importance, you've now turned density into a sign of your dullness. It is always dense, but the moment that you think that the dense is like the dense has like thickened and stuck to you, and you're stuck there, you're dull.
But when you're saying like you always start there, like
it's not a time thing.
No, I know, but like awareness of where you are at, and whether that's focusing on some, superficial aspect of hair or something, like somebody else is not focusing on that superficial aspect, and so they're not starting there.
It's not start as in time. Like
no, I know, but I mean, like they're not existing with that framework.
The person who is not focusing on hair because their mind is sharp enough to feel like subtler things.
Yeah,
they are also aware of hair.
Sure.
Like it is the beginning of awareness. If you have any form of awareness at all, it is involved because it is the initial thing to pass through. If you have absolutely no awareness, it is the very and then you get the first tiny inclination of awareness at all. It will be, I'm worried about how I'm presenting myself. I'm worried. I hope people don't think I look weird. I wonder what I look like. You start. That is the very beginning of any awareness in terms of like if you end up with that. So like the closer to you are to that, the more your mind is dull, because the more you're looking at dense things with importance. So density and dullness are synonymous only when at that state of we have no awareness.
Yeah.
And as that builds, it's kind of like almost like a dimmer switch.
And then density stays dense, but it doesn't stay dull.
Yeah, it's like a dimmer switch. Like light is light, and absence of light is absence of light. And if you look at dense stuff as like the absence of light, like it's a very solid, very observable thing. Like it's just that's a reversed analogy, but then you like turn it on like the tiniest bit, the touch of awareness. That touch of awareness has illuminated the dense stuff first. Like it's like, oh, there's darkness, and it's like and then it gets brighter. And brighter
like I can see the shape of a chair, or like it's like
like you start
I can't see the subtle details of the chair, but I see like this black object because it turned up a little bit. Like
and then you start to pay attention to like the silhouette. I gotta have a really good silhouette.
Yeah.
And then you're completely missing like I need to develop some wisdom so I can be happy, because if you get stuck on the silhouette, what about the rest of it? You haven't opened your eyes to it yet. So now you're trying to make this really nice silhouette, and you never end up working with things that are like joy.
Yeah.